All right. So a struct is something like this. Sometimes you'd like to organize data in, you might call this like a tree structure, where let's say we're storing a data, we have a database where we're storing information for students. For each student, we want to store various information like their name, major, ID number, GPA, and maybe a list of test scores. So this is what a struct will do for you. You have a, for lack of a better word, let's just say a variable, sort of an overall variable, which is called a struct. It has these different, what are called fields or properties: name, major, ID, and GPA, and each of those can take a value. Right, so it's similar to what you can do with a cell array, except now you can reference the information by name. Name, major, ID, or GPA, instead of just having to remember which cell was it in. Instead of cell 3 was the ID number. You don't have to remember that. You can specify it by name. So this is what the code looks like. So first, you might just initialize the structure. And this is actually optional. You don't have to do that, but it kind of makes it easier to follow what you're doing in the code. But then you can add the fields one at a time. Okay, so we're making a struct called student1, and then we put a name field, and the value of that name field is going to be Joe. As you can think of these as like sub-variables, maybe. Then you add a second field called major, which has the value Meki. ID is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and GPA is this. And then test scores is actually going to be an array. So just like with a cell array, you can put an array within a struct. Okay? So a field of a struct can be an array. It can also be another struct, which is what you're going to do in one of the exercises. All right, so let's go to the examples and do some more of these. All right, so let's do another one similar to that. I have one called person1. I'm initializing it to be a struct. And then I give it a name field, and the value of the name field is Joe. All right, so right now it's just a struct, but it only has one field, which is a name field. And the value of that field is Joe. Then I want to add a second field, which is the height, and has a value of 70. All right, so now it's a struct with two fields, name and height, with those values. Then I add weight. Now it's got 3 fields. And then I add age, and now it's got 4 fields. All right, so that's one way to do it, step by step, very painfully. Or you can do it all in one line like this. Okay, so let's make another one. The second struct, let's call it person2. You put struct, and then you list the names of the fields, name, height, weight, and age, and the value of each one. So this says make a struct. It has a name field, which is its value is Jim, a height field, its value is 72, and so forth. All right, so I made a second struct similar to the first one, same set of fields, but with different values. Now, having made these structs, how do we get information out? Well, you use this dot. Okay, if you want to print the name field of struct person2, you put person2.name. If you want to print the age field, person2.age, and so forth. All right, so that's a little more readable than with a cell array where we would just have person2 braces 1, person2 braces 2, and so forth. Right? You can reference it by name, which makes it easier to follow what your code is doing. All right, so Jim is 37 years old, weighs 190 pounds, and is 72 inches tall. And then you can modify a field the same way you would modify any variable. But again, you use this dot notation. So this says I'm going to change the weight field of this struct person2, take whatever it currently is, and subtract 5. All right, so that modified the weight field of person2. Now it's 185. All right, so any questions about that, about creating a struct? Two ways. You can either do it step by step like this, add one field at a time, or you can do it all at once with the struct function like that.